more on Bob Iger's legacy, I want to bring in our guest, Walter Isaacson, an advisory partner at Perella Weinberg Partners, as well as Tulane University professor and CNBC contributor. He's also the author, as you know, of Steve Jobs, who also created Pixar, which was then sold to Disney, and with great success. Walter, great to see you, my friend.
Hey, good to be back with you. Nice new set.
Help us think a little bit through what's happening here. A little bit about the legacy of Bob Iger, but I'm also curious if you have any curiosity yourself or answers, really, about the timing and the way this all came out, because it has felt like quite a surprise for so many.
Right. Well, the legacy of Bob Iger will be huge. He's one of the great CEOs of our day and generation because he has been able to do the essence of value creating in the digital revolution, which is to connect imagination to technology. I mean, that's part of the DNA of the Disney company ever since Walt Disney did that, but it's also part of the DNA of the Disney company ever since Bob Iger formed a partnership and then brought in Steve Jobs and Pixar, an amazing acquisition that I think helped really revive Disney, which hadn't created many great characters the previous 20 years. Michael Eisner, a man of great taste, strongly opposed that Pixar acquisition, but Iger had just become the CEO. He let Eisner speak to the board, but Iger won the argument. He ends up with Star Wars as well, and this has positioned him most importantly for the streaming era, for the direct-to-consumer era. And so I think both as somebody who connects imagination to technology and somebody who has a strategic view of where you go in an era of cord-cutting and digital disruption, nobody beats Bob Iger.
Are you surprised who he selected as his successor?
No, I mean, they've been talking about successors. I think the problem Chapek has is that he's coming from businesses that at the moment are going to get really hard hit.
By the coronavirus.
In the era of coronavirus. Right. I agree with Leon Cooperman. I think by May, June, July, you'll have three things in place. One is a detection technology to be able to know and diagnose corona, treatments for it, and then a vaccine for it eventually. But I would not want to be in the cruise business for the next couple of years. I just think people, it's scary being trapped on a boat after you saw what happened. And obviously, the theme park business is not as badly hurt for the long term, but that's bad. The good thing about Disney is that it's very balanced. When people aren't going to go out on cruises and to theme parks, they'll stay at home and they'll be streaming Star Wars. I do think that Chapek has shown an ability to really capture the consumer. And that's the main thing Disney has going for it over its whole history, is it makes an emotional connection to consumers.
Well, that was the question I was going to ask, which is, when Bob first got the job, people thought of him, dare I say, as a suit. They did not think of him as some kind of creative genius. They thought of him as a business person. So, to some degree, Chapek has that same kind of reputation. How important do you think it is for a CEO of a media company or media entertainment company in this day and age to be both the numbers business guy, if you will, and also it's sort of a left brain, right brain situation?
Well, what's particularly interesting in this transition is Bob Iger saying he's going to spend the next year and a half or however long it is being an executive chairman focused mainly on creative. Because as you say, he came in not as the creative person, he came in as a business suit, so to speak, in the Hollywood jargon. I think Bob Iger has great taste. He has great fingertip feel, for both television and stars. But he's not one of these Hollywood people who is known as, let me be the creative product person. So it'll be interesting to see that he decided to cast himself in that role for the next year and a half.
All right. Chamath, you're making faces. What are you thinking?
Bezos has this term called narrative fallacy, which is after something works, you look backwards and you kind of invent whatever you want to say to make yourself seem amazing. That's a business that I think, frankly, more than anything else, has proved the value of really good M&A by using a highly levered security. that's what they've done. Because when you look at Pixar was moderately successful. The stock was just kind of flat for 3 years. Once they tagged Marvel, then it was a game changer.
Right.
And so that single acquisition was, I think, the transformational event. And so in my mind, what it proves was the value of M&A. And so if you have a balance sheet like Disney, I would kind of think, why not put somebody who has an eye more towards a transactional impetus than an operational focus? And so
you give him credit for I mean, people said that's way too much to pay for Pixar. I mean, you have to give Iger credit for doing the M&A deals that you're talking about.
But he's saying he's a deal guy, not a creative guy.
He's an incredibly successful M&A
guy,
and now everybody wants to pretend they're Steven Spielberg, and I think it betrays what he's really good at.
But that's brilliant. But if the new guy is an operations guy, you've built up this huge company. Now you need somebody who knows how to run it well.
Well,
maybe that's the next step.
Disney,
or do you think it's?
No, I think Disney is such an excellent, exceptional example of what an old line industry company needs to do, which is you need to find where the puck is going and then aggressively acquire
But not do it organically.
You can't do it organically. It's not possible. Even Facebook can't do it organically. They need to acquire. So if Facebook can't do it, if Google can't do it, and they're acquiring, why do you think...
But if you listen to the words of Bob Iger yesterday, he said, look, we have now all of our assets in place. In fact, I thought the suggestion that he was making was actually...
The difficulty...
No more M&A.
No, the difficulty is now what they're finding, and this was Netflix that's going to do this, is Netflix has transformed the cord-cutting streaming business into a consumer surplus business. It's going to basically take margins to zero. And as they do that and as they fight for subscribers, the only way to survive for somebody like Disney is to acquire and to bolt on acquisitions over and over and over again. So I think you probably need someone who has the wherewithal, the risk tolerance, and the vision to take that risk.
Hey, Walter, you're in the deal business. 30 seconds, final word.
Well, I do think you're right to say it was the acquisitions, but the acquisitions were done strategically. He didn't acquire cable companies or phone companies or satellites. He said, in this age of direct-to-consumer, we need the best brands that people are going to subscribe to. I think over the past 12 years, without even seeing the visionary end, it was, we're going to be in a direct-consumer world. Let's get these brands so we dominate. He did it, and he deserves credit.